And now to this tonight. The responsible treatment of animals has become a major focus in the Upstate over the last 5 years. Local governments like the cities and counties of Greenville and Anderson have changed their ordinances to offer better protection for pets.
Spartanburg, though, one of the fastest growing counties, has yet to address that concern in the community for the humane treatment of domestic animals. 7 News anchor Diane Lee looked at why.
Things like 24/7 tethering and inadequate shelter conditions have become illegal in many areas of the Upstate in recent years. What I discovered is Spartanburg County doesn't lack its own pet protection movement, but so far the county has failed to act.
Well, this is Bella.
To say Alice Warren is an animal lover is a bit of an understatement, but of all the pets she's known, she says the one that stole her heart was a yellow lab named Merlin.
I love that dog. I've cried more over that one dog than I ever have any dog.
But Merlin wasn't her dog. He lived around the corner.
It really hurt me when he let him die.
Warren's neighbor, Mark Guy, insists he did not play a role in his dog's death. But Guy admits the night Merlin died, November 28, 2018.
So another freeze is expected overnight tonight.
The dog had been outside for hours in the cold.
He stood right here at the door, and I just thought he was cold. So, it was down in the 20s that night. So I just figured he was cold. So I just was trying to warm him up a little bit.
The dog cried and cried to get in, and he wouldn't let him in the house, and he died, froze to death.
Not true. Absolutely not true.
While Merlin's death remains a mystery, these neighbor disputes are something animal control officers have to deal with on a daily basis, especially when the laws are vague. The Spartanburg County Animal Control Ordinance, which hasn't been updated since 2012, says nothing about temperature, little about shelter requirements, and nothing about tethering restrictions. So unlike the new rules in Greenville and Anderson counties and cities, as well as the city of Spartanburg, when Merlin was tethered with a logging chain and padlock for hours at a time.
I did not want that chain on his neck, but that was the only thing that would hold him.
His owner was still in compliance with Spartanburg County law. In fact, animal control records show they visited Guy's residence 8 times between 2013 and 2018, and he was never issued a violation. That didn't stop Alice from calling.
And I said, you can't do anything about him having the chain on his neck. He said, no, they hadn't passed that law in Spartanburg County yet.
And she wasn't the only one.
Come on.
Tyler Martin, Guy's next-door neighbor, says she called animal control about Merlin's welfare more than a dozen times.
Animals have no voice. For there to be no standards of their just general care is just crazy.
We took that concern to Jamie Nelson, the head of the department that oversees animal control in Spartanburg County.
If there's a violation, we take care of it.
Do your officers ever feel, though, that their hands are tied because they can only enforce so much? Even when a dog is tethered for months at a time, they can't issue a fine right now in Spartanburg County.
At this current time, it just because the dog's tethered, and just because of the temperature, no, they can't.
Still, Nelson is not advocating a change to the local ordinance. Instead, he supports a state bill under review in Columbia that adds some restrictions on tethering.
We used City of Greenville, City of Spartanburg, County of Greenville, Anderson County, York County.
Chris Morrow and his sister Sherry Wood have studied not just the state bill, but a half a dozen upstate animal ordinances. And while these two are polar opposites politically,
We actually do not agree on any topic except this one.
the siblings don't think the state bill goes far enough in protecting animals. Case in point, it would not help dogs like this one they saw continuously tethered, often in bad weather conditions, since the state law has no time nor temperature restrictions.
So we started calling animal control to report it, and they would go every time we called. Quickly they would respond. But when they arrived, they would check everything out and call us back and say, because of the way the law is stated, they're not breaking any laws. There's nothing we can do about it. And they went on to say that they could leave this dog tied up 24/7 for the entirety of its life, and there's nothing that could be done about it.
The pair took their concerns to Spartanburg County Council last fall. Councilman Michael Brown, the chair of the Public Safety and Judiciary Committee, asked them to do the research. And in December, they presented recommendations that require more humane tethering and shelter standards.
We looked at all of these different ordinances, we checked into different regulations from different governing bodies, and we delivered that to County Council. Nothing has happened since then.
Why not take action now?
Not saying that it's not something that we shouldn't review to see if it's being effective. So to come back after, if the state does something, if they don't do anything this session, the same group that came together before, it's our intention to come back again and look at where we're at.
But even if the state law does pass, it doesn't have any temperature restrictions like Spartanburg City's 2018 change, no tethering time limits like Greenville City's 2012 change, nor any of the strict sheltering regulations you'll find in both those cities and Greenville and Anderson counties' changes within the last 5 years.
You have so many ordinances now in counties and cities surrounding Spartanburg County that have made the effort to protect animals on a greater level. Don't you think it's time for Spartanburg County?
So what I think, though, first, before we do that, you reach out to these various counties and you see these various cities, how many tickets have they actually issued? Are they being enforced? That would be my very first question.
That's just what we did, starting with Spartanburg City.
The changes have been very effective. We haven't had necessarily an increase in the number of citations that have had to be issued, but we have had 60 dogs that have been surrendered because of owners' inability to comply with the new ordinances.
Officer Jessica Burdine adds far more pet owners have come into compliance.
And while local governments don't keep specific data on the number of citations generated only from the new ordinances, they all say the changes have been highly effective.
Greenville County says more defined rules have led to less confusion and less intake. Greenville City says fewer people are tethering now that Section 4-5C2 requires the animal be in visual range of the responsible party. And Anderson County says, quote, we see a high success rate in owners bringing their situations into compliance. Warren only wishes the laws in Spartanburg County would have been able to protect Merlin.
Well, I think something needs to be done about it because dogs are suffering.
We just want the animals in our community to be treated more humanely so that their quality of life can improve and their suffering can decrease.
Morrow and Wood have started a Change.org petition similar to the one that gained 13,000 signatures and eventually led to the new ordinances in Spartanburg City. And we have a link to that on WSPA.com. In the studio, Diane Lee, 7 News.
You'll find a link on our website contacting your council member if you live in Spartanburg County and want to weigh in on how you feel about this issue. We've also posted the ordinances from other counties so you can read them for yourself.
And coming up on